coordinator for the Alleghany County Community Service Board. I'd like to introduce my CIT liaison. This is Doug Albrecht. As well, we have Ingrid Barber. She's here with as the Executive Director of CSB, and Felicia Prescott. She's the Director of Outpatient Services for Community Service Board. So we're all here to talk about that. Doug and I are going to share the main things as far as that's concerned. Some of you may not be familiar with what CIT is. CIT is a state-funded, community-based program that focuses on interactions with those who may be in crisis or who may be suffering from some sort of mental health issue. Oftentimes, people are placed in jail unnecessarily due to some sort of crisis issue that they're having or mental health issue that they're having, and there is training offered through this program for law enforcement officers as well as other stakeholders who are the hospital, community service board members, law enforcement agencies, probation and parole, as well as other judiciary bodies, magistrates and judges, and the like. So what we want to do is use this program and this training to start a assessment center, and we are going to need your legal support as well as your influence that you have on the community. That is our primary goal here tonight, is to convince you that we need your support. So with that, I'm going to go into my presentation and talk a little bit about it.
People that recognize a citizen, a family member, a co-worker, a mental health crisis that is a threat to safety can call 911. And a CIT trained dispatcher recognizes the information that's being conveyed over the phone and knows that this particular call or situation likely will need a CIT trained officer. There may not be a situation where every officer has the 40-hour CIT training. So one that is available would be dispatched along with others who may be in the process or on deck to take the training at some future date. So the officers approach the situation just like always. Safety number one for all concerned. Themselves, bystanders, the individual in crisis. But particularly CIT trained officers are looking for signs, especially if they've been pre-alerted in the dispatch. They're looking for signs and symptoms of mental illness crisis. And if they start noting them, they slip into a different mode where they're trying to de-escalate the situation to where it doesn't wind up becoming further escalated in a crisis that involves violence and possible injury and so forth to the officers, the person in crisis, and possibly bystanders. So the dialoguing goes on, and the officer is aware of the resources that are available in the community. Now, right now, the resources here are somewhat limited, especially an assessment site. There is no place for an officer to take an individual and get a transfer of the person who is in crisis. You can get the assessment from a pre-screener. At the hospital, the pre-screener comes to the hospital, you get the screening, but the officer is waiting the entire time to find out where is the person going to have a bed available and how long is that transport going to be. Whereas if you have an assessment center, you already have worked out details of where an agency is going to have security there as needed, and the officer that brought the person in can transfer custody if the crisis, if the mental illness signs are confirmed by the pre-screening. So that officer can get back on the road here in the county or back on the road in Covington or Clifton Forge and continue doing community policing and not be tied up for 8, 10, 12 hours getting someone to Galax, Culpeper, Spotsylvania. The other outcomes are that the threatening behavior has been isolated. The officer's risk is minimized by the training of de-escalating. The average turnaround time can be as well under an hour. In Montgomery County, Blacksburg area, their turnaround time is less than 1 hour for the officer. And in Rico, where Mr. Aldridge and I took the trainer for crisis intervention team, we went to their hospital, doctor's hospital, and their turnaround time is under 20 minutes. And we actually watched it in action. There was a person already brought in on an ECO, and there was another person being brought in. And those officers from New Kent County were back on the road in under 30 minutes, going back to their jurisdiction. So that's a real plus for our law enforcement agencies. The individual in crisis that does meet the criteria is in a better position to get mental health evaluation, meds is needed, hospitalization is needed. This is a particular picture from our mental health awareness walk lunch, Fudge Street Cafe last May. 75 people turned out. Now, our efforts up to this point with this initial startup grant, and we really appreciate your time going through these, these details with you. But there was a base of about 9 officers who had CIT training throughout the Highlands, throughout the county, city, and town. We've been in a position to nearly double that by sending, using the grant funds, available officers who can be spared from their shifts to other parts of the state where these classes are ongoing year-round. So at this point we have 10 officers trained. It's actually 11 now, and one of them is a trainer. We have 1 officer in Clifton Forge. We have 4 trained jail corporals, and we have others, 4 more that are scheduled to go to training this month. We have as well as some road deputies. Some road deputies are now registered also. I was going to get to that. We have ourselves, Jonathan and myself are trained and also picked up the trainer, and we have a probation and parole officer as well as 2 clinicians, and we have a 3rd clinician, pre-screeners that are taking this training. The upshot of it is the state's been recommending for a number of years now that 25% of the department's officers, 25%, have this 40-hour training. Once you get that base established, then you're looking to develop an assessment center.
So the assessment site is one of the primary things we want to talk to you about. Again, where your support comes in is on the legal side of things, as well as your community influence. Currently, we don't have a location or a site, and we are trying to get ready for a grant funded through the state that will allow us to have that. What we need to establish prior to that are memos of understanding. Everything needs to be set in place. What location are we going to use? That needs to be, we need to have a conditional lease signed for that. Security for that site. Obviously, we want it to be safe, so we need to have some sort of measure in place for that. We need that, written down and finalized as well before we can even be ready for the grant, as well as transportation. Who's going to take these individuals after they have been assessed? To who's going to take them to their final destination? So. What we can use from you all is going through these, looking through these memos of understanding and seeing if there are any sort of legal issues that we are not aware of with certain aspects. So that is one of the primary things that we can use your assistance with. With your help, we can make this CIT vision we all have extremely possible. We've done a lot already with the funding we have. We'd like to be prepared for the 2017 grant cycle. With your assistance, we can be ready. We can be prepared. We're doing our part. We would just like to, for you guys to join in. If anybody is interested in coming to our coalition meetings, we have monthly stakeholder meetings where we discuss the program as a whole. You can see me or somebody else from Community Service Board, and we can hook you up and make sure that you you understand how to come check that out, and if you'd like to be involved with it, you are more than welcome as well. We'd like to thank you for your time. And one thing I'd like to do is, if there are anybody that's CIT trained in the audience, I'd like for them to stand up just to be recognized. So, thank you all. We really appreciate your time. Thank you.